Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Lorwyn Eclipsed, this time with one Alchemy card added to every single pack. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one, pick one, and show off some of these busted Alchemy rares, shall we? The Kithkin Brinefarer is ridiculous. 3 mana for a 3/3, and whenever a Kithkin card is put into your hand from your library, so that includes when you just naturally draw a Kithkin, you get to conjure a duplicate into your hand. So if you draw a single Kithkin when this is on your board, that's already good 2-for-1 value. Plus, every time you attack, that's whenever you attack, period, with any creature, doesn't even have to be the Brinefarer, all of your Kithkin in your hand perpetually get +1/+1, which there will obviously be a lot of Kithkin in your hand if you're duplicating every one you draw. This is a ridiculous Kithkin rare, and shows off how crazy these alchemy drafts can be because, again, these cards are in addition to the rest of the pack. So there's still these, two rares from the main set as well as this alchemy rare. Pretty busted stuff. Here's another Kithkin rare, the Kinscare Sentry. Honestly, I think Eclipsed Kithkin's probably the stronger card. This is another excellent card for Kithkin decks. It's the card draw spell. It makes your deck really consistent. If you need a land, you draw a land. If you just need more threats, you draw a threat. I genuinely think Eclipsed Kithkin is actually a bit stronger than the Sentry. It's awkward they clump up in the same pack because they're both good Kithkin cards. So either way, we're sending a signal to somebody that there's going to be good Kithkin. But I really think the Eclipsed Kithkin is actually just the better card, just giving you that value the second it hits the board, not having to attack. This, you do want, a multitude of attacking creatures to actually get the trigger off of it. I'm just going to take the Eclipsed Kithkin here. That card is absolutely fantastic. And speaking of cards that are absolutely fantastic, we've got Encumbered Reejerey in the uncommons and Gilt-Leaf Alchemist out of the rares. This is a very, very fun elf rare. I think it's actually quite powerful. Elves have a lot of self-mill stuff going on, so it's not too hard to get 2 or more elves in your grave. And if you do, this is like insane Llanowar elves. You just straight up put a forest into play every single turn, which means this one card could ramp you a whole bunch, like 3 or 4 extra lands out in the late game. That's really cool, but we are really, really trying to play Kithkin off of Eclipsed Kithkin and Brinefarer. Is there anything that I'm going to be that excited about in Kithkin? I mean, Foul Knight's going to be a good curve topper here, but it's more of the reasonable filler end of things. Am I super pumped about Reejerey? I'm going to take this Alchemist. It's really cool. Not the most likely that we end up playing it, but I think it's better than taking just solid filler. I mean, we could play it no matter what. It's a 1-mana, 1/1 death touch, actually, so we'll probably still play it. Here's a Spry and Mighty, or Mist Meadow Council. This is actually a really close pick. Mist Meadow Council is consistently good. Spry and Mighty is occasionally great and occasionally awful. Spry and Mighty does not do anything if you're behind on board, like, let's say your opponent has just been playing really aggressively and really controlling with their removal, and you just don't have creatures out, then this doesn't do anything. If you only have 1 creature out, doesn't do anything. If you have 3 creatures out and they're all 2/2s, doesn't do anything. But if you got a 1/1 and a 5/5, this wins the game hard. So sometimes incredible, sometimes doesn't do anything versus always good, at least. I'm just going to take the consistent card there and grab the Mist Meadow Council. I do like Crossroads Watcher as a filler 3-mana Kithkin, but there are some other really fierce competition here. There's Gathering Stone as a big card draw engine. If every creature in your deck is the same type, this does a lot of digging for them, so we could play that on Kithkin and it'd be quite reasonable. Or we're also on 0 removal spells so far, so Assert Perfection would be good too. Now, I haven't actually really gotten to play a Gathering Stone deck yet. It feels like it's probably a little bit better in Elves because they have more graveyard stuff going on, but probably still be pretty good in Kithkin here. Let's grab a Gathering Stone. No Kithkin in this pack, but I don't mind Celebrant at the top end of your just aggressive white decks mana curves because you've got plenty of cheap creatures to play with them. There's also Scarblade Scout, though. We do have that Alchemist and Gathering Stone towards Elves, and Scout is really, really good in Elves versus Celebrant, just being okay top-end filler for Kithkin. It's not even a Kithkin itself, it's just I'll play a big dork in the end. I think I I'm the kind of player that would rather speculate than take something that's going to be my 23rd or 24th best card. I can find other slightly worse cards than Celebrant later if we do end up in green-white and not be that disappointed. But I do really like having a backup plan, and now we've got a really good elf backup plan. We have 3 cards for elves, 4 cards for Kithkin. The biggest, most important cards that we have that make us want to play Kithkin were our pack 1 pick 1 and our pack 1 pick 2, so we can't treat these as a sign that Kithkin is open because we took them before anybody took anything out of those packs. So having a backup plan is nice. That said, pick 7 we see a mediocre filler elf and a great Kithkin, so we probably will be a Kithkin deck, but I don't mind having a backup plan like that over taking just a Celebrant. And it is just going to be a nice, easy Kithkin draft pod. Pick 8, there is still a Mist Meadow Council around. Even Crossroads Watcher would be fine here, but Mist Meadow Council is great value. Certainly the better card. Now there's still a Timid Shield Bearer, pick 9. Timid Shield Bearer is kind of the Kithkin equivalent of Scarblade Scout, where it is your kind of best common 2-drop filler creature. Good stuff. Liminal Hold, pick 10. I'm so happy to be in this draft pod. This is going to be a good one. Sky Swimmer and Cavalry still here. These are alchemy drafts, so with that additional kind of alchemy rare in every pack, the power level of the packs rises, which means you see really solid cards going later than usual. Just grab a Cavalry, but that's likely going to get cut when we find enough Kithkin to play exclusively Kithkin instead. But it's got a good enough stat line by itself, just being able to buff itself with that 5-mana ability. That's you can play it in non-elf decks if you don't have enough creatures. So pack 2, pick 1. We got a couple really solid elf cards, Dignitary and Elvish Elegy, but we got a late Festival, decently late Council. We're pretty locked in on Kithkin. That said, this is one of those very similar packs where it's like, okay, so if I'm green-white Kithkin, what are the odds that by the end of this draft I want a Preacher or a Feastling or an Archer or a Stoneback or a Dignitary in my deck? Close to 0%. Whereas the odds of us somehow being forced into a pivot onto elves are closer to like 1% instead of 0%, so I'm just going to take the elf card, but probably not happening. Just none of those cards are anything I want in my deck in the end of the draft as a Kithkin deck. But now there's a Blossoming Defense or a Surly Farrier. Neither are massively high picks, but they're both certainly playable. Bloom Tender's cute as well. This is a green-white ramp spell. If we have our Eclipsed Kithkin on the board, get green-white mana out of it, that might actually be the pick over Blossoming Defense. I think certainly Blossoming Defense is better than the Farrier. It's one of the 3. We'll try out a Bloom Tender in here. It's going to be good with an Eclipsed Kithkin on board if we're lucky. Pick 3, no Kithkin here. I mean, there is Doomguard, but this one's just not good. We'll take a Noggle Robber. We're certainly deeper into green than white right now, and Noggle Robber's pretty sick with our Bloom Tender as well. Makes funny noises when you draft it. I mean, I could have like 4 elves in this deck. Dignitary, Tender, Alchemist, and Cavalry. Kithkin with a little bit of an elf synergy in here. We should almost definitely cut these elves, but depends on if we get past enough Kithkin throughout this draft, I suppose. So pick 4. Could take the Tristan. Obviously, Elves is open enough to draft, but so is Kithkin. And Kithkin, we saw better cards late last pack with that Festival and another Council. I'm going to grab another Eclipsed Kithkin here, but it is actually mildly close. Because I'm enough deeper onto white than black to definitely take this Kithkin, so never mind. It's not actually that close, but I could see a universe where somebody drafts Tristan here and pivots to elves. It's probably not the correct one, though. Yep, because we get another Festival here, or Mutable Explorer. That's a really close pick. Genuinely, they are both Kithkin because of the Changeling ability. The ramp, it's ramp and a creature from Mutable Explorer. You get another land and you get a 2/2 off that land, basically. I think Kithkin likes the Festival more than the Explorer, but there's been a lot of like vividy, rampy decks where Explorer is a lot better. Pick 6 Thoughtweft Lieutenant. Join the party. Curve out a bit here. Let's go. Bristlebane Outriders, and also not a bad top end spell. This Thoughtweft's Call is like technically a Kithkin card, but I don't think either half of this is that good. It's 1 mana, draw Kithkin until the end of your next turn. Oh, of the next end step. Oh, that's actually really bad. Never mind. If you play this and then don't play the Kithkin you seek immediately, you just don't even play it. So kind of the only half that's okay is if it's in your opener, you could buff every Kithkin in your hand. Pick 7, Great Forest Druid or Keep Out. I'd rather take a Keep Out here. This is just not a Great Forest Druid deck. Ooh. Knights have double strike. Well, I have 0 knights. That's really sad. They added the Cavalier off the bonus sheet, and there's just not really any knights in the set. You would think because it's a Kithkin card, if any color pair was going to have cards that synergize with it, it would be the green-white Kithkin decks, and there's just no Kithkin knights. Pick 9. This is where I took like Dignitary or something here, because there's just nothing good, and we wheeled everything that we would maybe play in Kithkin anyway. I'm not playing Stoneback over all these on type 2 drops. I'll just take the Changeling 3 mana card. Now we'll take a Blossoming Defense over Farrier. We're wheeling every card I mentioned. Passing up on. Play Informant over Dignitary. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. Another Bloom Tender. Another Bloom Tender, you say. Or I've got the Surveil Kithkin, the Wary Farmer. Or another Dignitary, but we're trying to cut down on our elves. Dignitary is like a very, very much elf required card, because if you don't have elves, it's a 4 mana 2/3 with no abilities. Whereas Alchemist is still a Death Toucher for 1. Cavalry is still a 4/4 with good abilities that can buff itself. Informant still a 3/1 that surveils. Bloom Tender still a mana dork. Yeah, we're not taking Dignitary. It's Farmer or Bloom Tender. I'll just grab another Bloom Tender. Catharsis. Catharsis, where we have white mana no matter what. So it's 6 mana for a 3/4 and 2 1/1s at worst. And if I have a Bloom Tender and a Noggle Robber, Treasure Token and a Red Source. No, we're almost never getting the double kick off that. Kind of want to just take the Heirloom instead. Try out the Alchemy Mana Rock that draws a Kithkin. Or another Liminal Hold wouldn't be bad. I'm on 3 removal spells right now, and I like having a lot in this format. I'm going to go Liminal Hold over Catharsis or Heirloom. Cut Dignitary. What'll be the next cut? Maybe Feastling. Or Informant. Just going to put a stack of the least synergistic cards right here. These are the cards we could be cutting at some point. What do we have? We have Stoneback, we have Informant, we have Changeling, and a Foul Knight. I'll just grab the Foul Knight. Turn 3 Festival into turn 4 Foul Knight's pretty nice. I don't mind that. We do want to have more Kithkin to draw with the Brine Fair in hand, and Thoughtweft Imbuer is a very good one. This plays really well with Double Festival as well. You want a wide board of Kithkin, and then this buffs your single attacker equal to the total number of Kithkin you have, so that's going to be really big with those Exalted triggers. Picking up some good cards here. Now, Bristlebane Outrider. I don't know if I want a 5th 4 mana card, though. It's got to be better than a Dune Guard. Just not a big fan of it. Pick 6 has nothing. There's a Personify, which is a cute little hexproofy trick where you redo your enter the battlefield effect as well. This actually might be a reasonable Personify deck, because we can use it on Mist Meadow Councils. Eclipsed Kithkins. Yeah. It's better than Blossoming Defense when we use it on somebody like Counselor Kithkin. I don't think I have room for double Blossoming Defense plus Personify, so I'm just going to grab the Shield Bearer on this one. Okay, so we've whittled it down to just all of our Kithkin now in this main deck curve, and then we just put some of these cards back in until we fill out to 23. Oh, I don't mind a Wary Farmer on 3. We could end up on just literally 100% Kithkin. If we drop the little elf package we ended up drafting. 29 cards. Here's another Kithkin. Oh, there's the Heirloom, though. I think I like the Heirloom better than the Farrier. But this would be my 6th 2-drop, which is pretty good. I could just run these Bloom Tenders, though, instead. I'm going to take the Heirloom. I feel like draw a card plus... Draw a guaranteed creature plus get some mana. Seems reasonable. Okay, so I might just run the Bloom Tenders and cut everything else. So I've got a lot of green-white permanents, so these Bloom Tenders could be, you know, Soul Ring Elves, or they're double mana off of 1 mana dork. So cut Informant, cut the Death Toucher, cut this Changeling. What do we cut out of non-creatures? I think I'm going to cut Blossoming Defense, because Personify looks funner. Blossoming Defense being relevant in combat is kind of big. Blossoming Defense is probably useful more often. They're both a way to counter a removal spell, but Blossoming Defense can counter a removal spell or win in combat. Personify can counter a removal spell and re-up an enter effect. So Personify is better against specifically removal, but Blossoming Defense is more flexible. And we're a very aggressive deck, so we will be getting into combat often to where the +2/+2 will put in work. Blossoming Defense is almost definitely better than Personify in here, but in the right spot when where our opponent tries to blow up like a Mist Meadow Counselor or something, Personify is so sick that I'm still really tempted to play it anyway. But no, let's go full try hard here. We'll go Blossoming Defense over Personify. I feel like this is going to come up more often. Am I going to have to just cut this Heirloom in the end? I might. I have too many good cards. Deck too strong. Yeah, I still need to cut 2 more. Could cut Percher. 16 creatures in Double Festival. See, I think I cut 1 non-creature, 1 creature. That'd be 15 creatures and 2 festivals, which is like 17. So I'm thinking it's Heirloom and a creature. I feel like we have a quick enough curve and not a crazy amount of off-color stuff that maybe we just cut 1 Bloom Tender. Just go single Bloom Tender. I mean, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green-white cards. And mostly white permanents early. Every single permanent that costs 3 or less that isn't Bloom Tender is a white permanent. So if I have Bloom Tender and any other permanent on the board before turn 4, it'll be 2 mana. Maybe I played over Noggle Robber, because we're actually ending up a little bit deeper into white than green is the other part. And Noggle Robber is a card that we need more green than white, so we'd want to be on like 9/8 in green's favor. Otherwise, this gets stuck in our hand a chunk of the time, where we will have openers that are double plains in a forest, and then we can't play this. Yeah, we might actually just cut Noggle Rubber, and that way I can just be happy with the 9-8 split, not worry about any double pipped cards. Everything's really easy to cast. Nothing in the entire deck requires double white or double green at that point. Yeah, I like Noggle Rubber Heirloom as the cuts. I think that makes sense. We could go really low on interaction and drop like Keep Out as the worst removal spell. It's still 3 removal spells, but that's quite low, I think, for this format. But if we really want to try out Heirloom, we could like drop Keep Out for it or something like that. I like the Percher. That is another card that looks like a potential cut here. But this card's always been kind of deceptively good. Just kept playing against it and being like, oh, this is actually just chipping away at me. The flying is just super relevant. Shuts off some graveyard shenanigans out of the elf decks. Gives you a little life gain against the goblin decks. It's been consistently good. I'm just going to keep it. It's also a very good card to draw off. We have Kithkin, Brian Fair in our hand. Conjure the duplicate. Or Brian Fair on the board. Just do any Kithkin cards? Yeah, whenever a Kithkin card, not creature, so it doubles our festivals too. We're gonna have a party today. All right, ain't no party like a Kithkin party. We'll call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, see how far this one can take us. All right, here we are on the draw for game 1. We've got a mono white opening hand, but there's only one spell in here that isn't hybrid mana, so we can cast everything but the Outrider. And we don't need the green source for that until turn 4. The Eclipsed Kithkin can look for the forest for us. This is a very solid opener. Playing against a green deck, we draw our 3rd plains. Green-blue, they start with the Thoughtsteel Sprites, which we played against in our first Alchemy draft. This is a brutal card. It's the kind of card that with the double team mechanic, which I thought I would never see again. It's like you just need to kill it before it attacks, or it gets an absurd amount of value, and we don't have removal that we can play till turn 4. So they get an absurd amount of value. They get 2 different Thoughtsteel Sprites, and every time they cast a card during our turn, they draft some mythic or rare fairy. So we might die real quick, but that is how these alchemy drafts tend to go. Drop a Wary Farmer here so I can start surveilling. But they are going to be flashing something in here to trigger these sprites. Is going to Blight Rot the Farmer. Trigger the sprites. We've got double Liminal Hold. But again, those are just too slow, too late to have stopped them from getting the second copy of sprites into their hand. Ooh, they had a great card to discard to the Thoughtsteel Sprites too. They got to discard the elf that has an ability while it's in the graveyard. If they've got a 2-mana instant spear, we could instant here, we could basically scoop on the spot. Wow, these draws have been bad. Eclipsed Kithkin looked 4 cards deep, found no green sources. It was Thoughtweft Imbuer or a Plains. So I was like, well, at that rate, I'm just going to take the Imbuer because we specifically need that forest. And then I was hoping Wary Farmer would stick around so we could start surveilling for green. Okay. So they've drafted 3 cards from the Thoughtsteel Spellbook here. So that is potentially 3 fairy bombs. They did discard another elf. They're definitely a Maryland deck. And another green card. So they've kept everything they drafted from the spellbook. So their hand is whatever they top decked, as well as some fairy rares. Iron Shield Elf, probably the top deck. What are my draws? I guess I should have kept the planes just so I could at least liminal hold one creature here. I really felt like the important part was just being the 4 cards closer to that forest, but we are 4 cards closer to the forest either way, whether I take the planes or the imbuer, and taking the planes makes it so at least we've got liminal hold. Bitter Blossom. Well, there's the forest, fashionably late. In the world where I kept the planes, last turn I would have played planes liminal hold, and liminal hold would have been spell stuttered. So the game goes exactly the same, unless the second liminal hold could resolve. And it can't. So literally completely irrelevant what we do that game, we lose no matter what. Could have taken a planes and then we go liminal hold, get spell stuttered last turn. This turn, liminal hold, get spell stuttered. Thoughtsteal Sprites is just a disgusting card. You have to have the removal to kill it before it gets that double team, or it just pops off so hard. And that's very hard to do in draft, so 0-1 heading to game 2. This is a slow hand here, but it has both of our colors. We have good 4-drops, we have good removal. I'm going to keep it. We're on the draw here, hoping to draw some 2 and 3 mana plays early. First draw of the game is another forest. And there we go, Eclipsed Kithkin right on cue. Got the 4 mana for everything they had already, so we'll grab another creature with the Mist Meadow Council. There's Summit Sentinel for our opponents. We can't attack into that. And great draws are great. We get the curve out off of the top decks. Play the Festival this turn. Setting up for a great Thought Weft Imbuer. Okay, if they hold all their mana up, I'm not going to Thought Weft Imbuer here. Be Counterspell here, and they're planning to counter the Council. If I just lead with Outrider, because I'm already happy with what's in my hand, and I'd rather they counter a Bristlebane Outrider than a Council. If it's removal, this is worse, but it could be removal and a Counterspell where they get to do whatever they need either way. So draw 3, discard 1. Okay, this is fine. So I guess if this was the only instant they had, Buer would have been much better. I feel like it probably was, because I think if they had a counterspell, they would still choose to counter Bristlebane Outrider there. Alright, they're tapped out. Now we know we can Imbuer. And next turn I can play a 4-drop and an Assert Perfection. That's going to be great. Let's just trump with Sentinel, draw a card, right? Take 8. Go to 12. Really don't need to spend removal on anything currently on their board. There's Glamourmite. Glamourmite just not very good against Thought Weft Imbuer because we get to choose Like, any single creature attacking is just massive. Did they surveil both cards to the top? I think they did. Yes, they have good draws coming up, and they're going to draw one immediately off Summit Sentinel. And we're just going to play some creatures to the board here. Eclipsed Kithkin for Timid Shieldbearer, now Mist Meadow Council. There's a Wildvine Pummeler. We got the removal for that. There's a concession from our opponent regardless. I was trying to decide between if I should Liminal Hold or Assert Perfection. I think I should Assert Perfection that because Liminal Hold can kill more stuff. So yeah, it's Assert with Council onto the 5 Toughness card. Attack with Council, force a chomp. And we're just taking this game away from our opponent here. Should play the Brine Fair pre-combat so we get the attack trigger off of it too to buff the Shield Bearer. But yeah, that was some gross stuff that game. And we are 1-1 heading to game 3. I'm going to keep this and hope they don't kill the Brine Fair. It's got both of our colors, so all of our spells are good draws. Bloom Tender. Can I actually play Brine Fair and then Bloom Tender's 2 mana and I can play a removal spell in the same turn? If they just tap out, play a creature that isn't like Eclipsed Flamekin, that would be awesome for me. Kolrath Mystic. That is a creature that is not Eclipsed Flamekin. Now I could technically a chump attack with Bloom Tender to buff this Foul Knight, but that does not seem good. Do not kill my Brine Farer, please. No. Tragedy strikes, and here come the flood. Doo 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 doo. Soulbright Seeker revealing Flame Chain Mauler. They got 2 cards left in their hand. Liminal Hold. I really want a Liminal Hold to stop them from double blocking and killing Foul Knight? No, if they want to double block and trade both their creatures into it, that is fine. Cool. If they just hold Mauler up and pass to where they can like block and double activate for a 1-for-1 trade, maybe we Liminal Hold at that point. But even then, I'm not sure if that's better than just holding on to the removal. Rhymekin Recluse is a great card. It's not actually even that good here because Foul Knight's already tapped that anyway. I guess it stopped Bloom Tender from trading into the Soulbright Seeker, which is something. Holding their mana for another spell here. It's interesting. I think I'm going to keep out the Mauler. This is going to be like a main phase 2 additional elemental. No. What is it? Burn spell or counter spell or something? One mana away from Shield Bearer doing stuff. That Bloom Tender bounce might actually be more relevant than it looked. Because if Bloom Tender were still on this board, we could actually activate Shield Bearer after a block here. It's going to be some weird trick to try to kill the Foul Knight. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's just 1-for-1 removal. Enraged Flamecaster. Activate Shield Bearer once. Have a 2-2 and a 3-3. Yeah, we're just not getting attacks in. Could maybe Liminal Hold Flamecaster. But it's not important to yet. And blue-red has a lot of cards that would be much more important to kill, mainly flyers. Unfortunately, our opponent is doing much better in their late-game draws than us. They had the unexpected assistance after their 5 lands to then go draw 3, discard 1. We're chilling on our 7 lands. We've got our card draw Kithkin, our 4-3 that draw a card when we play them, and our card draw Artifact. Those would be our best kind of top deck war spells. Actually, one of our festivals would be really good too. That's a much better mana sink than Shield Bearer, because Shield Bearer, while we can dump a bunch of mana into it to make our creatures better for a turn, doesn't give us any permanent lasting value off of the mana that we dumped into it. Like the other one can. Champion of the Path on the Bounce Elemental is really good. Luckily, the Bounce Elemental only bounces creatures, so they won't be able to like bounce Liminal Hold and just keep looping that nonsense. But they are going to get to bounce one of our creatures here. Probably Wary Farmer. Alright, now they are flooding 7 lands to 7 lands. They did get to ditch one to the unexpected assistance as well. Oh! They top decked 2 bomb rares in a row. Champion into Spinerock Tyrant immediately after. So that ended up just being perfect bait for the removal spell. Alright. Get a council draw, which is just a land, and then we'll see what Wary Farmer hits. We're going to die to Spinerock Tyrant very quickly, especially if they top deck an instant or sorcery to go with it. That'll have double targets. Surveil 1, find a land, mill it. They do find a land themselves here. At least they didn't runner us with Champion into Tyrant into removal spell. Then there would be no draw in the deck that wins from there, because they would kill Council and Farmer off of just one spell off the top. Doesn't do it. A little Outrider. I can double activate Shield Bearer if they try to kill this Wary Farmer. Take it. Hit for 11? Oh, I see what they're doing. We're dead to Flamecaster. They're just gonna bounce their own Tyrant to replay it and hit for another 2. We take exact lethal, so we can't kill them here. Maybe if I attacked all to force a kill on Flamecaster, that's the best way to get another turn. But then they could trump the 4-3 with the Soulbright Seeker still. This would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that wouldn't even work. They just trump Council with Seeker at that point. Alright, maybe they won't see the line. Also, I should not have activated, because now they don't even have to do that line, but we were dead either way. Yeah, now they don't even have to do anything fancy, they could just bounce Outrider. They should do the fancy play, though, because it's cooler. I have no cards in hand, so just hit me for 6, bounce Tyrant, play it, kill me. Alright. It is what it is. I wouldn't call that a pound. A pound? I wouldn't call that a punt because we were dead if we didn't activate 2. If we didn't activate, they hit us for 6 and then they recluse Tyrant and play it. So, I mean, we just got to choose 2 different ways to be dead on board. Doesn't really matter. 1 and 2 it is. Just great draws for our opponent there in the end with the double rare in a row. And that'll happen. 1 and 2 heading into game 4. This is an awful opener. We'll mulligan that. This is pretty good. I'm gonna ditch a land and have Kithkin pick up the 3rd land. The Eclipsed Kithkin, that is. Top deck Blossoming Defense. Pick up a land with Eclipsed Kithkin. Playing against Boros, red and white. They're going to Cinder Strike my Kithkin. There we go, there's land 4, so we can Gathering Stone on 4 and just play the long game here. Opponent's stuck on 2 mana. I actually just want to play aggro at that point. Get as much damage in as we can while they're not playing blockers. Torchmaster just a 2/2. Sure. 5th land's perfect. They block, I can just activate and eat for free. They don't block, I go farmer. Yeah, I mean, I could Gathering Stone here, but again, just put as much damage into their face as possible, as quickly as possible. Give them less turns to top deck into some kind of big bomb. Or the mana to cast some kind of big bomb. There's Noggle Robber. Bloom Tenders the draw, send in the team. Probably defense plus stone this turn. They just drew their 3rd land this turn. If they had a 1-mana instant speed burn spell, they probably would have used it sooner, so I'm not going to play around that. I will just Blossoming Defense wherever it'll win combat. Sick. Drop Gathering Stone on Kithkin. Mill a land. There's the concession from our opponent, just stuck on mana over there, and that'll be 2-2 heading into game number 5. Excellent opening hand for game 5. Both our colors. Starts with Eclipsed Kithkin, follows up with Wary Farmer, and now even the Gathering Stone Quadrangle. Alright, well, we're going to start with Brian Fair on turn 3 and hope they can't burn it away for only 3 mana. No Tweez in the opener, please. Worst case scenario, we do get a buff on the 2 Kithkin in the hand. GG from opponent. And this is now our turn to do gross stuff. Like how we lost our first game to that blue fairy. We're just going to win this game with our green-white Kithkin. Alright. 3-2. The Shuffler Gods giveth, and the Shuffler Gods taketh away. We just get super lucky 2 games in a row. And now we're at a 50-50 record. Worst case scenario. Mono white opener, double removal and Gathering Stone for card draw. This is a nice controlling hand, I think. It's got the mana sink as well. I think this plays the long game super well if our opponent doesn't have a great aggressive opener. And even if they do, we're gaining life off our removal as well to try to stabilize. We are playing against blue-black. Blue, black, and green again. Let's play to the board while they haven't put anything out here. They could have the 2/2 Flash Fairy. Do I care about losing a 1/1 to that? Not really. If they kill a 1/1 for free, then I know that they're tapped out and I can just get a 4/3 draw card. Alright, draw 3, discard 1 it is. I don't know what the alchemy counterspells are, is the problem. In the main set, I don't think there's actually a counterspell that would work there because they don't have double blue. The main set counterspell is a double blue card. But I do not know all the alchemy cards yet. Reflective Rhymekin, so the next instant or sorcery gets doubled up, so whenever they play a removal spell, it'll be double removal. We are not playing Thought-Weft Imbuer pre-removal then. Best bet is probably Gathering Stone here. Until they do that, I'm not going to liminal hold a Rhymekin. I guess Eclipsed Kithkin's not bad. If I can Eclipse Kithkin and hit any like 3-drop Kithkin, just that double spell's pretty good for the turn. Let's go Eclipse Kithkin here, see what we can find. Okay, that's actually really perfect, because it's the Kithkin that plays super well around removal spells. Just kind of blanking that Rhymekin as best as we can, to where it's like, okay, you can kill a 2/1 and a 1/1. Rooftop Percher. Ura the Imitator. 2/2 Flash, Flying Lifelink. I think it can play the top card of their library if it has Flash. That being a lifelinker is pretty gross. So there's their gross alchemy rare. And here's the double nameless inversion off the Rhymekin, so we don't have to worry about the removal anymore. And they could still have removal, but they won't get a 2-for-1 out of their next removal spell. And they are also tapped out, so we can liminal hold this Ura. Sonar. Okay. No counterspell for 1 and a blue. They don't have double blue up, so we have to just liminal hold again. Alchemy drafts are just absolutely bomb-tacular. Do we have 2 rares? I don't know. We have our one really good 3-mana Kithkin rare. Now we're a 1 rare deck. Oh my god! Ura into Sonar into Tristan's command. Lord have mercy. I can't kill Sonar this turn because I don't have a big enough creature for Assert Perfection. If I go Imbue, I don't have the mana for Assert Perfection. So they're going to get a Sonar trigger. They're also going to get a double instant or sorcery. Just triple rare in a row again. My lord. I even do? What do I even do? Think it's Eclipsed Kithkin. For a land, there's literally not a land. Wow. I was gonna say land, and then I could play Gathering Stone now, and then next turn I have the mana to go Imbue or attack Assert post-combat. But if this is the case, I guess I just take the best play this turn because I don't have a land. There's play a Brine Fair they have to kill, but they definitely can kill it. Because they're going to draw 2 extra cards this turn, plus double up whatever instant or sorcery. They found another Rhymekin. Triple removal. Off of 1 spell. Yeah, Rhymekin to double Bog Slither's Embrace, and then they have another Rhymekin for their next removal spell, and Sonar still trying to draw 2 a turn. Can we hit the land we were trying to find in the top 4? Nope. So no land in the top 5 means no Imbue plus Assert turn. So Sonar's chilling. I mean, I think this is as good as we could have played it up to this point. I might have to run out Bloom Tender, but if I run out Bloom Tender, they're just going to Rhymekin and kill Bloom Tender now. They just play Percher. Ooh, a complete miss off Sonar. Is so lucky. Hit like some black spells, a Tree Folk, and something else. But they don't have any black permanents out. Yep. Removal spell Percher. So they would have just killed Bloom Tender. They're running the 2 -1/-1 counters on everybody too. Kill all my 1/1s. I'd actually be pretty happy if they did that. Yeah, they're just going to take the land. Because it would kill their Rhymekin and make their Sonar 2 toughness, and a 2 toughness Sonar would be a lot easier for us to kill. But I don't have double green, so I still technically couldn't kill it next turn if they did do that. There is finally the land to kill Sonar, but now they've got a Well Guard popping off, and they will double removal us. I am still not a happy camper, but we have a shot now. Oh, we're running a Bloom Tender. We do have double rare. Our other rare is Bloom Tender. Yep. Second Rhymekin. Kill both our creatures. Or just, yeah, double stomp on the one imbuer. And now they start using Well Guard to try to take over the game. Those flying tokens. Omni Changeling on Well Guard. On Rhymekin to double up their next spell as well. And this having all types means I can't block it with the token. Stone on Kithkin. Finds a land, we mill it. Play Bloom Tender. Here's the fourth bomb rare, and it hits triple spell. And just play our own Blossoming Defense here too, so we just can't block anything this turn. Yeah, I was supposed to not block. I forgot that's for the whole turn. I thought it was immediate casts. Ooh, fifth bomb rare. Thoughtsteel Sprites, Gathering Stone mills a land, and we still top deck another one. That's magic for you. What a gross final game. Yeah, all right. I mean, nothing you can do about that. Obviously, we could have blocked better last turn, but they still just Thoughtsteel Sprites after all that. We draw 3 lands. That was absurd. Tristan's Command, Ura. Tristan's Command, Ura, Sonar, Dream Harvest, Endblaze Epiphany, Thoughtsteel Sprites. Just draft pot open like 4 rares a pack. Pass them all to this opponent. That is a big part of draft, and especially a big part of alchemy drafts. It's gonna be rares all over the place, and sadly we get mega bombed out for that one. Our second loss as well was because they played a bomb rare I had to liminal hold, and then they top decked a second bomb rare right after with the big dragon. So we kind of got blown out today by some bombs. Still get a 3-3 run overall, but it wasn't a particularly fun way to get a 3-3. 2 of our wins were because our opponents were completely mana screwed, and 2 of our losses were just because our opponents just slammed rares. Yeah, I think this deck was cool. I like the synergy and stuff. The Festival plus Thought Weft Imbuer is always pretty gnarly. We had a decent bit of removal, 4 removal spells. Could still have used more of it. But overall, kind of a bummer of a draft. The wins were not particularly satisfying. The losses certainly weren't, obviously. It's hard to have fun when you're losing games. So it's rare that the losses will ever be satisfying, but even the wins today just weren't that satisfying. Yeah, not a super fun day of Magic today, but I think the draft itself went pretty well. The deck that we ended up with, I think, is one of the better decks we could have gotten out of the pod. I did speculate on a lot of elves early, but again, we were speculating them off of over like the 2-mana 2/2 Kithkin that can tap to give somebody +1/+1. Like a bunch of really filler stuff like that. The 6-mana Tree Folk was another card I remember passing. They're not cards that would have made this deck any better. I mean, maybe, I don't know. There were some games we did get a pretty good surge of mana off the Bloom Tenders, but overall, they're pretty bad draws in the late game. So maybe we were supposed to be running like Informant and Cavalry or Noggle Robber, or yeah, Noggle Robber and Personify or something like that over the double Bloom Tender. But outside of that, I don't really think anything went particularly wrong deck building or draft wise. Just cards did not line up perfectly for us, and we get an average record for that at 3-3 in today's draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more on your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.